All right, founders, it is time for another pitch deck critique and review. And this one comes from VR Studio, from my main man, Peter, who reached out to me, sent me his deck. I thought this was a good one to learn a few things. Let's read this. Effective video content made in VR with VR Studio. The intent of this slide, it actually is pointing in the right direction, but it leads us to a bigger problem. This deck represents a great example of a solution looking for a problem. Therefore, this pitch deck is not going to work, especially because this deck is pre-seed. There isn't even an MVP. It's more like an idea validation deck to catch attention from investors. And I get it. These types of decks are important. But let me explain what I see here. Based on what I can tell about the founder, Peter, truly a visionary. Visionaries tend to attract other people who catch on to that vision, and this makes for a great opportunity for everybody involved. When you're talking about VR, you are looking to the future. But if you don't show that you're solving a real problem that people want solved, the investor's going to think to themselves, why would I invest in this right now? This is too far in the future. Therefore, let me sum it up. This deck is really weak. I'm just going to be very direct with it, and I'm going to show you the reason it's weak and what you need to do to fix it. But the vision is strong. The future is strong. Timing is working against you. And until you actually do something to show that there's a real life prototype and potential for commercialization, the chances of this getting funded, except by an incredibly generous and visionary angel or a big company, which there's so much competition to get that type of funding, this is not going to attract funding in the short term. And therefore, I'm going to advise the founder, Peter, you need to break this down. You need to figure out another way to make money in the current VR space, solve real tangible problems that are happening right now. And then we can move into the future, which I know you're thinking about the future and you're a pioneer in that space, but the timing is working against you. And therefore, this deck is not going to help you get funded. And believe me, I love the future and I love contrarian thinking founders who are working on cool, wacky stuff. And I don't want to be negative about this. And I'm not throwing your startup or who you are or your team under the bus. I'm just being realistic. Well, at the same time, thank you for the courage to allow me to use this deck to teach other founders, because you are not alone. This startup is not alone. I meet so many other founders that are exactly in this space, pioneering something so innovative, but it's a solution looking for a problem. Let's jump in. The problem statement here is all over the place. Videos can be super valuable, but it always costs a lot to get started. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the customer or are you talking to the investor? And that is the issue with this slide right here that we can all learn from. This slide talks to the customer. Yeah, videos are super valuable to the customer. They're not valuable to the investor. You know what's valuable to the investor? If customers actually use it because it's valuable to them, you need to speak to the investor. Now we got another issue. You have years of training and upfront investment for individuals, or 1 to 2K plus 2 to 4 days video on average for businesses. This slide has got 3 directions that it's going: solving problems for the customer, or you solving problems for the individual who makes the videos, or you solving problem for the businesses. We're all over the map. Get back to focusing on one problem. Now we get to the solution slide. And I don't know what this does. The solution is a software, got that combines all necessities in a single, more affordable, preparation-free, easy-to-use device. So it's a software, but it's a device. It's a software that brings everything together. And now you are going all over the place. You've got studios, you've got gear, you've got actors, you've got editing all going into a headset. Is this your product? Is this the software for the product? What is going on here? And you say effective videos for 10x cheaper within hours. How? I do not understand what the solution is, because the problem is so confusing and you're solving for so many additional problems here. Studio issues, actor issues, editing issues, gear issues. Is it software? Is it hardware? I don't understand. Very confusing. And if you break down the problem into one simple statement, then you can create a solution statement that is one simple sentence that reverse engineers the problem, flips the problem and solves it. point by point, concept by concept. Now we go back here and I'm thinking this is a why now or market slide. Not exactly sure. And this is an issue. And here's a pro tip. That's the reason you want to put something really small up here to let the investor know where they are and say market. But let's read this. There are 10x more people who want to create videos than the over 100 million individuals who already make them. So then are we saying there are 1 billion people who want to create videos? If that's the case, why don't we just say that? There are 1 billion people who want to create videos, but only 100 million people are actually creating them? And then we go into more problems. You say our technology also helps those facing certain challenges. So are you solving for the psychological problems that video creators have? Financial problems, educational problems, physical problems? I don't understand. And then environmental problems. Now you've introduced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more problems, and we've already got so many problems that we could potentially be addressing in this deck. You've gone so far and so wide. This is an issue of this solution going a mile wide and an inch deep. You've lost me. And I'm doing this because I'm reviewing it, but the investor is going to be so frustrated. You probably lost them by the second slide already anyway. We're going to keep going. How does it work? Creators can design their visuals bit by bit, regardless of their physical boundaries. So are you saying that they wear this headset and then they start designing? So I'm supposed to follow it this way. And then it says latest VR sensor in our vision technology tracks precise body postures and movements. So are you saying they become the actors in their own videos? If that's the case, then is that the problem you're solving for? People can act in their own videos as any character as they want. And then you say every asset they buy, move they make, I'm going to think maybe movie they make, or is it actual physical movement they make? Word they say in VR will allow them to create not only unique, but great looking, viable videos. Of what? Of them acting in the videos? I'm not exactly sure. Users can create effective video animations for the fraction of the cost without leaving their homes. So then is this an animation program where you're saying we can create VR animations that they can put in their videos? But if you went back, and let's do this right now, I'm going to go back here. You said that there are challenges to psychological, financial, educational, physical, environmental. You said that there are issues that it costs so much money and there's upfront and training issues. It always costs a lot to get started. So then where are the solutions for all these problems reflected in how it works? As it stands right now, I'm thinking this is just a great solution and to create animations for your videos. Maybe that's what you want to solve. Maybe so many people want to create animated videos, but they can't do it because of all the limitations of you need a soundstage, you need motion capture, you need professional animators. Maybe that's a solution. You just got a great VR solution that can go to these production companies and say, act in your own videos. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions at this point in time. And you're probably thinking, but Ed, you don't get it. You're right. I don't get it because it's not clear, and clarity is working against you. And this is advice that we give to everybody. The only thing standing in the way of it being clear to the investor is you. It is your responsibility to make sure something is crystal clear, and you don't need to be all buzzy and use fluff and sensationalist and be a salesperson in that way. Just make it simple and clear for the investor. If you're at that pre-seed stage and you need money just to even try to build something, you are going to have to make it very clear in what you are building, and you're going to be in trouble because the investor is going to think you haven't thought things through. Now we look at the competition, and this competition slide is going to be all over the place. Why? We don't know what problem we're solving for. The issue with this competition slide is I don't know what companies that you're talking about. I don't have any idea of the actual competitive landscape here. You're talking about these features and benefits, and those are important, but in the context of what? In the context of going and hiring an actual dev shop or a production company, or the companies that you're afraid of that are going to develop this technology and come eat your lunch, such as Meta. What do you know that Meta does not know? Because as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much ahead of the game with the Meta Quest 3. And I'm sure a software company is starting to develop something along the lines of what you're talking about, video editing in VR or acting in your own videos in VR, video editing in virtual reality or acting in virtual reality, you want to be very careful and make sure you research competition, because everybody's going to want to do this. It's the reason I believe it's the future, but other companies have got deep pockets and they're going to be pumping a lot of dough into being your competitor. All right, Peter. This is where I know you're a visionary. You're saying that you built a video content studio startup in 2021 where you lost 160,000 pounds by the lack of sales. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You built multiple high-end vlog studios. What are those studios? Do you have brand names? Can you list them? What results did you get for those brand studios? And you created hundreds of videos. I'm sorry, Peter, but I've created hundreds of videos and I'm nowhere near an expert in this space. I don't have the credibility to move something like this forward. So you're going to have to show a lot more results and explain what you know that other CEOs in this space don't know. The same issue happens with your CTO, 10 years in 3D development. Not exactly sure what this means. You don't have enough information. And then you've got 4 years in creative management. That's not a long time, Peter. Wrote and hosted video content for 5 years, led startup creators for 2 years. What results did we get? You've got a lot of people here who probably believe in your vision, but they're not showing the credibility, the domain expertise to move something as complicated and as competitive as VR. So I would suggest getting some serious advisors on board. Here, I want to bring up this statement here. So we created a solution that doesn't have direct competitors and users can start using it for free. I don't believe this. I know for a fact you've got a lot of direct competitors. I advise a startup that is a direct competitor to you in many aspects that you're talking about, and users can start using it free. This is a business model. Don't put this statement in here because it's just going to make your team look weak. Give me a reason to believe in this team. Why you? What makes it different? Why now? These are the answers you have to be providing the investor. Business model. This is a confusing slide as well. Free to start, limited assets with Basic Studio. Help users make money made with VR Studio. This is erroneous information, but you can say you've got a freemium package to start with Basic, and then you're going to go into micropayments, 50 cents to $30. Here's the big issue here. You have not pressure tested these assumptions. How do you know? You know how I know you haven't pressure tested these assumptions? Because we don't even know what this does. And you don't have a working prototype. So you're basically going to have to just get out there and show us the basic on how you're getting out there. You say here, user annual value is $140 plus $40 times 12, $620. How many users are we talking about here? Again, all this doesn't make sense. So for the business model, I think you just want to say, we're going to start it with freemium and then slowly introduce micropayments and a subscription as the freemium starts to work, because you're too early in this process and you're just making assumptions by this point in time. If you go out there and you put this information out in front of an investor, the investor is not going to believe you and you're going to lose credibility and the investor's trust. Here's your go-to-market slide. And here's how I want you to break this down. You're going to say, we're going to go to events, and that's great. Talk about which events that you're going to go to. This is good, how many members, and trade shows, all that stuff, and more. Great. Now you're going to go to tech YouTubers. Instead of calling out the tech YouTubers and explaining how many subs they have, because you don't know if Linus Tech Tips, I know these creators, MKBHD, Marques Brownlee, Unbox Therapy, you don't know if they're actually going to review your stuff. So you just want to say how many tech YouTubers there are and how many people you're going to reach and how you're going to convince them. Are you going to send them free stuff and ask for a review and all those things? And then finally, video marketing. You're going to do weekly collab videos with 1 million sub creators using VR Studios. How do you know that you're going to get 1 million subscribers that are creators and they're even going to use VR Studios as part of your proof of concept? So to dumb this down and just say video marketing and getting other people to collaborate together, user-generated content, something like that is going to be your video marketing strategy. This is for the future. And now you got your funding slide where you're asking for $250K, and this creates the most incredulous perception because you're saying you're going to use $250K, develop an MVP that sells. How do you know? Grow a dedicated YouTube channel to at least 20,000 subscribers. All right, maybe you're on your way there. This is where a traction slide showing how many subscribers you currently have would be helpful. Secure the first 1,000 users plus 200 customers. For 250 grand, you're going to create technology that's this complex and does this many cool things, and you're going to get 1,000 users. How do you know this? This is a massive assumption. You want to generate at least 2 million views on social media. How do you know that? Exhibit at least 2 major video content events. That's okay, but two for $250,000 plus everything else you're doing and secure the next round of funding. This is a major issue for me, because if you're just talking about we are using this funding to get us the next round of funding, what have you achieved and how do you know you're going to achieve that? Take this out and don't talk about the next round of funding. If you're going to do any type of ask slide, say we need $250,000 to create something and have a proof of concept that ours works. This is where you're going to have a very difficult time. It's just a great idea. So somehow you're going to have to convince investors that you've got people on board who are going to code this, and somehow you need to get some proof of concept out there. Maybe it's just a video demo, but I don't believe, me as an investor, I don't believe $250,000 is going to get you anywhere close to giving me something that gives me confidence that this is a startup that's going to generate a return on investment. That's why I said in the beginning, go back and figure out how you can build this concept and make money ahead of time. Some ideas for you. Just become a VR content studio out there and start creating stuff for the Apple Vision Pro and show how if you take investment that there are all these clients out there that need content that go in the Meta Quest 3 or the Apple Vision Pro, or you are in the future going to be creating content that'll be consumed by this newfangled dazzled way that we're going to do spatial computing, VR, AR. I don't know what that is. Show investors how you're going to make money in the meantime without taking this moonshot approach. Show them how to make money. In other words, I want you to back this startup off, and I want you to get realistic on what you and your team can do in the short term. Challenge yourself. Make it super simple. Say, what could we start right now and make money with without any investment? To show investors we've bootstrapped our way, and now we're making $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year making VR content, and we've learned all the struggles that people who are making content have, and now we've got this great visionary idea. We've proven along the way we're solving our own problems. They're going to put on these VR headsets and we can create video. Show them how you are going to be different, and show them how you are making money where everybody else is just fumbling around, and you've got a unique insight into what your customers want. Get back to the drawing board, go and validate your idea, get customer discovery going, and start to build that domain expertise. Show experts in your industry, advisors, and create another deck with your new story and make it super simple, clear, and that should help you. I know this was a rough one, but I want you to be encouraged. This is all part of the journey for visionary founders like you. Keep going. I'll talk to you in the next video.